On the night of August the 27th, the Russian military bombarded Slavyansk. They targeted the railway station area and a ceramics warehouse. No victims among the civilians, said Vadim Lyakh, the head of the Slavyansk city military administration. On the night of August the 28th, the downtown was damaged by a missile strike, including infrastructure and apartment buildings, Mr. Lyakh reported. No civilians were killed or wounded. On August the 29th, the Russian army hit the city again. There were destructions in the area of Slavyansk Aviation Technical College. No one was killed or wounded. There is also a problem with electricity supply to such districts as Slavkurort, Tsiliny and Tseglany, because the transformer that provided electricity supply to these districts had burned down totally. It's completely out of order and cannot be fixed. On the night of August the 27th, the Russians shelled Bakhmut and partially destroyed a 5-story residential building. One person may be under the ruins, reported the press service of the main directorate of the State Emergency Service in Donetsk region. The destruction was caused by shelling at around 2 a.m. on August the 27th. We assume that one person may be blocked under the debris, they wrote. On the night of August the 28th, the Russian forces shelled the railway station area in Kramatorsk. No information about victims is available, said Pavlo Kyrylenko, the head of the Donetsk Regional Military Administration. The Russians hit the railway infrastructure and damaged residential houses near the station. We currently have no information about any victims, he reported. On August the 28th, Russian barrages killed 8 people, including 4 in Bakhmut, 2 in Raihorodok, 1 in Tetianivka and 1 in Mykolaiivka. Pavlo Kyrylenko, the head of the Donetsk Regional Military Administration, posted on his Telegram channel. 7 other people were injured. It is currently impossible to determine the accurate number of victims in Mariupol and Volnovakha, he wrote. Mr. Kyrylenko added that since the all-out Russian invasion began, hostilities killed 775 people and wounded 1,980 in Donetsk region. On the night of August the 27th, the Russian military attacked the central Kharkiv with missiles, said Kharkiv Mayor Igor Terehov. The shelling was carried out after 2 a.m. A historical building, the house of merchant Adam Piotrowski, was damaged. We restored it a few years ago. A school in the downtown Kharkiv also damaged, the mayor wrote. Oleg Sinehubov, the head of the Kharkiv Regional Military Administration, specified that in Osnovyansky district, a fragment hit an apartment window, injuring a 61-year-old woman. She didn't need hospitalization, Mr. Sinehubov added. The missile, launched to the city center, hit the road in front of a residential building and the house of real estate and formed a crater. The blast wave broke out windows in the neighboring houses, a Suspilne correspondent reported from the site. It was a strike with an explosive missile. By its fragments at the scene, we can identify its type. It's a historic place in Kharkiv. There are no military personnel or equipment here, only residential buildings with ordinary citizens. In the afternoon on August the 27th, the Russian troops struck Kharkiv's Shevchenkivsky district with cluster munitions from Uragan rocket launchers. A shell hit one enterprise, causing no fire and no victims, said city mayor Igor Terehov. Late on August the 28th, the Russian military launched 2 missiles on the Kharkiv central part. One administrative building is destroyed, Mr. Terehov reported. 2 missile strikes on the Kharkiv center, where they hit for a few times. One administrative building is destroyed, the mayor wrote. According to the regional prosecutor's office, the attack on the regional state administration area caused a crater 10 on 9.5 meters and almost 5 meters deep. The law enforcement officers collected the missile fragment at the scene. Serhiy Bolvinov, chief of the Kharkiv Regional Police Investigation Department, says that the Russians fired 2 S-300 missiles. The prosecutor's office added that the strikes were carried out from the Russian Belgorod region. Both missiles exploded next to the Kharkiv Regional State Administration and damaged a neighboring building, cars, walls and a traffic light, they wrote. According to the regional administration, no one was injured as a result of the attack. Early on August the 29th, the Russian army bombarded Kievsky district in Kharkiv, said Mayor Igor Terehov. According to him, the Russians used cluster shells. A man aged 77 was wounded, said Oleg Sinehubov, the head of the Kharkiv Regional Military Administration. Some residential houses houses were damaged. A direct hit from Grad multiple launch rocket system on a house killed a woman, 52, in Zolochiv township. A man aged 51 sustained fragment wounds. Community head Viktor Kovalenko told Suspilne. 2 houses are ruined, 1 house and a barn are damaged. A woman was killed on the side and a man sustained a fragment injury in his right shin, he reported. According to the Kharkiv Regional State Emergency Service, the grass on the area of 20 hectares was on fire, and on the territory of Zhovtneva forestry, the fire engulfed close 5 hectares. The fires were extinguished. Mykola Lukashuk, the head of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Council, announced that on the night of August the 27th, Russian troops shelled the Kryvyi and Nikopolsky districts of Dnipropetrovsk region. According to his reports, Nikopolsky district was shelled 7 times with barrel artillery. In Nikopol, a dozen residential buildings and an educational center were damaged. Power lines were cut. Also, on the evening of August the 27th, Russian troops shelled the embarkment area of Nikopol. This is stated in the Telegram channel of the Nikopol City Council. According to the city authorities, several buildings were damaged. Valentin Reznichenko, the head of Dnipropetrovsk Regional Military Administration, announced that on the night of August the 28th, Russian troops hit 4 hromadas in the Nikopolsky and Kryvyi districts from BM-21, BM-27 and heavy artillery. According to Reznichenko, the power line was also cut in Marhanets. The warehouse and workshops of the local factory were also affected there, and up to 10 houses were damaged. In Zelenodolsk Hromada, they once again hit the country estate and the enterprise. There were no casualties or injuries as a result of the shelling. Mykola Lukashuk reported that on the evening of August the 28th, Russian troops attacked Nikopol. A 67-year-old woman died. According to detailed information, 4 people were injured, 3 men and a woman. 3 of them are in the hospital. Doctors assess their condition as moderate. Mykola Lukashuk also reported that during the day they fired in Nikopolsky, Sinelnikivsky and Kryvyi districts. Valentin Reznichenko reported that as of August the 29th, it became known about 1 more wounded person. The man was hospitalized. He is in serious condition. In total, it is already known about 5 wounded. On the night of August the 29th, Nikopol was again targeted. Marhanets and Chervonogrigorivka Hromada were shelled. According to previous information, people are unharmed. After the night shelling in Chervonogrigorivka, 15 houses, an enterprise, a church and power lines were damaged. 2,600 families are without electricity in Nikopol. In Marhanets, the extent of the destruction has been determined. In the morning, Russian troops directed missiles at Sinelnikivsky and Dniprovsky districts. A fire broke out in Pokrovska Hromada due to an explosion. Rescuers are trying to extinguish the flames. In the Lyubimivka Hromada, the rocket hit a summer cottage. Alexander Starukh, the head of Zaporizhzhia Regional Military Administration, announced that on the night of August the 27th, the Russian military shelled infrastructure facilities in Shevchenkivsky district of Zaporizhzhia and nearby. A total of 16 hits were recorded. As a result of the nighttime shelling in Zaporizhzhia, 3 multi-story buildings were damaged and there were no injured people, Anatoly Kurtiev, the secretary of the city council, said. Alexander Starukh reported that the building of one of the city's lyceums was destroyed. The educational buildings of the boarding school were damaged. 5 large rockets hit here and destroyed the educational institution almost completely. Here behind me is one of the buildings near which the rocket exploded. Thank God, the academic year hasn't begun yet. There were no children, and fortunately, there was no one in this educational institution at all, except for the security and management, who followed the safety standards and were in the bomb shelter. Therefore, everyone is alive and unharmed. But some buildings suffered such destruction that they cannot be restored. Unfortunately, the enemy continues to violate the rules of war, destroys civilian objects, objects of civil infrastructure, in this case an educational institution. Anatoly Kurtiev, the secretary of Zaporizhzhia City Council, announced that on the night of August the 28th, the armed forces of the Russian Federation shelled 2 districts of Zaporizhzhia. 2 people received shrapnel injuries, 9 high-rise buildings and 40 private buildings were destroyed. 2 of them were completely destroyed.
Выскочили
The neighbor shouts to us, "Hide quickly!" We hid in a small house and sat there from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Everything is broken. Alexander Starukh, the head of Zaporizhzhia Regional Military Administration, announced that on August the 28th, the armed forces of the Russian Federation were bombarding the city of Orikhiv in Zaporizhzhia region with rocket systems and barrel artillery for 14 hours. He noted that over 200 hits have occurred in the city in the last 6 hours, as of 8:25 p.m. The central part of the city suffered the most. The center of the city is on fire. The units of the State Emergency Service have made more than 18 exits and keep on extinguishing fires in private buildings. The head of Regional Military Administration added. Alexander Starukh also reported that children were injured as a result of the shelling. As a result of the attack, 3-year-old boy Yaroslav and 6-year-old girl Alexandra got contusion. Their mother received a closed craniocerebral injury. According to the official, the victims received timely first aid. They were hospitalized in Zaporizhzhia for treatment. Currently, the condition of all three is satisfactory. In addition, on August the 28th, from 4 to 6 in the morning, the Russian armed forces shelled the city of Orikhiv with multiple rocket launchers. During the shelling, the Russians used incendiary shells, which caused numerous fires. On the night of August the 29th, Russian troops shelled the residential quarters of Enerhodar. Dmitro Orlov, the mayor of Enerhodar, announced that as a result of the shelling, 10 local residents were injured. According to him, the 3rd and 5th microdistrict of the city were under fire at night. As of this morning, it is known about 10 Enerhodar residents who received multiple shrapnel injuries of varying degrees of severity as a result of the nighttime shelling of residential quarters of Enerhodar. The official said 2 victims were hospitalized in the intensive care unit in serious condition. On the afternoon of August the 28th, a fire broke out in Korabelny district of Mykolaiv. The press service of emergency workers reported that a fragment of ammunition hit the hangar. According to the State Emergency Service, a car parked in the hangar was on fire. The fire was extinguished on an area of 30 square meters.